Murder by Numbers. I really enjoy murder mystery games. Everyone who pretty much watches my videos knows my love for Phoenix Wright, Ghost Trick, and Danganronpa. It's just too bad there isn't more of these types of games. Fun and twisty murder mysteries that also have humor to keep it lighthearted. The creators of this game must have loved those games as well, as this feels like a Phoenix Wright type game, even down to the sound and the music. They must have said, what if we made that type of game, but constantly slowed down the action to make you do a puzzle? Now I have to get this out of the way. I do not like Picross. I find it boring. Now you must be saying at this point, why on earth did you play or review a game where you won't like half of the title? The truth is the story is what kept me going. It was interesting enough to keep me pushing through the Picross puzzles that they constantly were forcing me to do. Or at least they tried to force me to do them. I figured out pretty quickly I could cheat my way through most of it. But more on that later. The story is about a woman named Honor. She was famous for playing a detective on a TV show until she was mysteriously fired. Her boss was killed and she tries to figure out who killed him. She's helped by a flying robot which is good at processing evidence. The robot has no memory how it came to be, so they team up to solve mysteries. As the cases go by, she gets better and better at being a detective, and she needs to solve the mystery of her firing and the mystery of her flying robot friend. While I did like the overall story, I will say the murder mysteries were a bit too predictable. You'll see a grade when you solve each of the puzzles, starting at F for a detective rank all the way down to S. If you're playing on easy like me, you won't get that low, but you will at least get to an A. As you get down to a B, you know the murder is about to be uncovered, so you always knew when to expect it. In fact, you could kind of use it as an indicator on how much of the case was left. The puzzles in this game were pretty normal types of Picross type puzzles. They were not really that complicated, with the exception of when they got fairly large, which only made finishing it more annoying, as they would often break the pace of the story to do these puzzles. They would be in the middle of a tense situation and they'd say, hey, let's figure out this puzzle. They always put it in frame of, oh look, we found a new piece of evidence you gotta put together. If you've never played a Picross game before, they give you a grid. They tell you how many numbers in the row or column. There might be several numbers, and they need to be done in the order of the numbers that you see, with one space between them. The goal is to make a picture, or at least something that kind of looks like the blob of pixels that you might recognize as the picture. Now, like I said, I cheated a lot to get to the next parts of the story. Now, how did I cheat? Well, the game is very forgiving. If you put the wrong thing on the spaces, it will change it to the correct thing. That basically means that you can keep clicking on every tile and it will just solve it for you. I really didn't do this at first. I really did try to beat these puzzles. But after a while, just trying to be into the story and then being interrupted by puzzles and just trying to get it done, and it was a bit larger than you might expect, and then I found it confusing. I'm just like, I just want to get this done. Now, you might think if you click on every tile, it might penalize you in the end. And here's a surprise, it actually wouldn't. In fact, it would give you a bonus for not using a hint, since apparently getting the answer to every tile is not a hint in the game's eyes. And I guess that's true. I mean, is the answer a hint? So yeah, I guess I do deserve that bonus. Thank you, game. There are moments where they do require you to finish a very simple and small series of Picross puzzles in a time limit, and I really struggled in these. They would penalize you time for every wrong move, and in the end I just had my son, the littlest, finish each one of these parts for me. He's really good at Picross. Truth be told, I ended up buying 2 Picross games on the same day. This and Depiction. I did try that one out just to see how it was, and it was just a way more complicated version of Picross. It used different colors and multiple puzzles that make up a big picture. He really enjoyed it, but I was just getting a headache just watching him. Murder by Numbers really wants to have the tone of a Phoenix Wright game with its funny dialogue and interesting characters, but it fails in the pacing of the puzzles, as it really felt like in the later cases, annoying diversions to a fun storyline. Now, once again, I do want to say I don't particularly like Picross, so there is my bias in that. So if you're coming into this thing really wanting to play Picross, then yeah, you're really going to enjoy this. The only downside I would say to the plot of this game was that the murder cases were not that interesting. It was the stuff around the cases that was way more intriguing. Now, this is not a bad game, but I would definitely wait for this to go on sale. The cases for the most part were interesting, but I do feel like they went on too long in parts. If you can find this under $10 and you like Picross, I think you should give this a try when it's on sale.